I want to talk about this whole idea that you're worthless. I've heard it so many times. I've seen it. As a matter of fact, I've been there. There's this notion. People will say, I'm worthless. I'm just garbage. I'm broken. I can't be better. I'm just a lost cause. Sometimes, probably, we've all felt that way. But the truth is that's a cop-out. Because the reality is that it's very important to be self-aware enough to acknowledge your faults. It's important to have the courage to acknowledge that you're not perfect. It's important to acknowledge the reality that there's some things that you aren't, and there's some things that you'll never be. There's plenty of people on the other side of this that are arrogant, and they present themselves as something that they're not, and they live a lie. There's no nobility in living a lie. But there's also a lie in convincing yourself that you're worthless and telling other people that you're worthless and that you're hopelessly broken. Because that is also another form of making an excuse and lying to yourself. There's people who oversell themselves, and that's a lie. The person that puts on a nice suit and goes and rents a fancy car and then cruises around to try to convince people that he's rich. Well, that's fake. That's stupid. I don't care how good you look when you just charged it all on a credit card. It's fake. But there's also the kind of people who fall short of where they know their path should lead them. People who have a vision of where they could go and where they should go. But because it's not easy, they choose not to. And then, at some point, when they're called on the carpet for it, they say, well, I got mental health problems. Or they say, I'm not smart enough. They make some kind of an excuse to say, you know what? There's not even any point in me trying because I'm broken. You know, when I was a child, I remember one time, it's burned into my memory. I guess I was socially awkward, and I was just, weird as a child. Well, I was in some sort of a situation. I remember I didn't want to engage in a social situation. I didn't feel comfortable. And I just walked away. And people were talking to me, and I didn't feel comfortable, so I just walked away. It wasn't respectful. And I remember I got a good spanking for that. And I remember saying, well, I'm shy. Like, that was an excuse. That's a reason. But, like, I got to just disrespect a group of adults and strangers and just walk away like they didn't exist. Because I was shy and I didn't feel comfortable. That wasn't okay, though. And I was taught, with a nice smooth stick to the rear end at that moment, that that's not the way you conduct yourself. Sometimes you don't feel comfortable, but you still have to respect people, because that's part of what it means to be a good citizen and to be a well-rounded human being. But there's a lot of excuses that float around. And it's cute. It's not a big deal when you're 6. But it's not flattering at all when you still have those behaviors and you're well into your midlife. There is such a thing as humility, but there's also a false humility that wants to make excuses in the name of humility. Excuses to write yourself off because it's easier to make yourself look like trash than it is to take responsibility for your actions. Ultimately, we all pay the price in the form of consequences. And a life that's built on a platform of dishonesty ultimately will not stand. You can get ahead a little while making excuses for your bad behavior. But eventually, water always finds its level. And you either have to face a reckoning and decide that you're going to live a life that's based on reason and truth and respect, or you inherit a life which bears the fruit of dishonesty, which bears the fruit which is born by an unwillingness to come to terms with personal accountability. There is the question of what responsibility actually means. And I'm sure it means many different things to many different people. But at the simplest level, responsibility, by definition, is simply the ability to respond. That is what the word denotes. And so I would emphasize how important it is that you be willing to look in the mirror. How important it is that you be willing to look boldly into the face of truths which may not be convenient. Because the truth is, you're not worthless. The truth is, there's hope in your life. It just might not be as easy as you wish it were. The truth is, there's a path to redemption, but it might not be as simple as you want. It might not be handed to you without effort. And sometimes, even if something's possible for us, it's harder for us than it is for some others. The truth is that life isn't fair, in the sense that life doesn't give everyone the same level of ease, the same set of resources to work with. But life is fair in the sense that the rules which govern life are universal. When we present ourselves as victims, victims of our biology, victims of our mind, victims of some physical limitation, victims of being in the wrong place or the wrong time, or born into the wrong family, or born with the wrong set of genetic markers, whatever it might be, we blame some external thing for something which is ultimately personal. And that's wrong. Life is filled with inconvenient truths. That doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean you can't. Maybe far too often, people mistake difficulty for impossibility. They think that because they don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning that they can't. They think that because they don't feel okay about life that they're automatically broken. And I have news for you. The truth is, sometimes you don't feel okay, and you can still be okay. You don't have to feel like getting out of bed in the morning to get out of bed. You don't have to feel like you are in a good place emotionally to be grounded anyway. You can choose to live your life and to do the things you set out to do without automatically having a feel good every single step of the way. And the other truth is that when you get over that desire to be in a cycle of victimhood, to self-identify as broken and hopeless, then there comes a time when things get easier. When you get through that fog, you get to the other side, and then after years of moving forward through all the difficulty, one day you realize that you're not broken. You are okay. And the things that you thought were going to break you were just an investment in your path to a better future. So don't write yourself off. There'll be plenty of opportunities for other people to try to do that on your behalf. You don't need to do it to yourself. But empowerment is not just a feel-good thing where you say, oh, good, now I don't have to feel worthless anymore. No. It also implies stewardship. Because when you acknowledge that you have value, that also means that you have a duty to do things of value with your life. So wherever you find yourself, my best wishes to you on your journey. Strive to be a good steward of your life. Strive to be honest. Strive to avoid making excuses. And as always, strive in all things to be happy. Till next time, thank you for watching.